Welcome to the session. Today I am going to explain you about the biological classification which was incomplete in the previous classes. In the last class I completed the kingdom fungi. That means so far I completed the three kingdoms. One was Monera, second is Protista, and the third one was the fungi or mycota. Now let us take up the other two kingdoms in brief, because it should be explained later in detail. Now only a clue is given regarding the rest of the two kingdoms. One is the kingdom Plantae. The term itself indicates it includes the higher plants. Here, all the members are all individuals which come under the Plantae are eukaryotes and multicellular. I hope you are well aware of the word eukaryote with a true nucleus, multicellular with many cells. Then, the majority of the plants or most of the plants are what? The autotrophs, because of the presence of the green pigment by name chlorophyll. The chlorophyll is found in the cell organelle by name what? Chloroplast. Chloroplast is nothing but one of the cell organelles. It is even called as green plastid. We can even call it as green plastid. This chloroplast contains what? Chlorophyll pigments. These pigments are responsible for photosynthesis, by which plant can synthesize their own food material. But only a few are what? Heterotrophs. Say for example, Cuscuta plant is a parasite that depends upon the host for its survival. Whereas some other plants like that of the pitcher plant and the bladderwort, these are the insectivorous plants. They will not eat insects as like that of the birds eating insects. They depend upon the insects only for their nitrogen requirement. For nitrogen requirement, they depend upon what? Insects. Hence, they are called insectivorous plants. Then, the plasma membrane or the cell membrane is covered by what? The cell wall. The cell wall is composed of cellulose. What is cellulose? I repeatedly explained the term cellulose. Cellulose is a polysaccharide, as like glycogen and as like starch, like that. Then, the life cycle in plants consists of a dominant, the diploid state by name the sporophyte, and the haploid what? Gametophyte. The part in the life cycle is the diploid sporophyte and the haploid gametophyte. This diploid sporophyte and haploid gametophyte alternate with each other so hence it is termed as alternation of generation. The kingdom Plantae includes the algae, bryophytum, and then pteridophytum, gymnosperms, and angiosperms. So the algae, as you are aware, they are the lower plants with the pigments. And then bryophytes are amphibious plants. just like amphibians of animals, like that of the frog. Pteridophytes, lower vascular plants, and then to some extent are the land plants. Then gymnosperms, naked seeded plants. Angiosperms, closed seeded plants. These are the groups which come under the kingdom Plantae. So these are all the key features or the salient features or the characteristic features of the kingdom Plantae. Now, let us take up the next kingdom, that is Animalia. Here also only the important features of the Animalia is the explained. The rest of the Animalian characters is going to be discussed whenever we are going to take up the different phylas like that. Now, Animalia is like that of the plants, multicellular and eukaryotes. But animals are what? The heterotrophs. They depend upon the plants either directly or indirectly. The nature of feeding, what we observe in animals, is called holozoic. They depend directly or indirectly on plants for their food. And the another one is the cell wall is not found. Only there is plasma membrane. Plasma membrane is not covered by cell wall as like in plants. As they depend upon other for their food, they can be referred as what? Heterotrophs. Then the animals exhibit locomotion. Why locomotion is essential for the animals? In order to get their food. They go on moving. They ride from morning to evening. So in order to obtain their food, hence they exhibit locomotion. They mainly in Animalia you come across the sexual reproduction wherein both male and female individual come together and the gametes what form may fuse with each other either outside the body or inside the body, forming zygote. But of course, even the asexual reproduction also occurs, which includes either fission or by budding or even by fragmentation. They show high power of what? Regeneration. Regeneration in the sense it is the regrowing of the lost parts or injured parts. But in case of the sponges which come under the Animalia have the highest capacity of the regeneration. Here a few cells are able to aggregate with each other, forming an entire individual. And even if at all the body is cut into two or more fragments or segments, for example in the planaria, each part can grow into a new individual. That can be referred as the fragmentation. And the asexual reproduction process, the other methods are the budding, you can see in the sponges and even in the hydra, and the fission, that is just division of the body into two or more parts, and each part can grow into a new individual. But the major type of the reproduction in animals is by sexual methods. So this includes both chordates and non-chordates, which we are going to study in the next classes. Now, the next one is the virus. Remember, the viruses do not come under any kingdom of Whitaker classification. This is because of the fact that the viruses on one hand, we can say it is a non-living thing. But on the other hand, we can say it is a living thing. Which are the non-living things? A few, the character we can take. The non-living thing character is, it has no definite cell structure, no cell organelles, no plasma membrane, and it can be what? Crystallized. And in the outside the body of host, it is inactive or inert. So these are some of the non-living character. Crystallized, no definite shape, no cell membrane, no cell wall, no cell organelles, no metabolism, no respiration, and then they easily can be crystallized and is inert whenever it is outside the host cell. These are the non-living features. What are the living features then? The living features are, one, it possesses what? The genetic material like RNA or DNA. The second one is, whenever it enters into the host cell, it leads parasitic life and it has the ability to undergo what? The multiplication at the cost of the host cell contents. And the another, it can undergo what? Mutation. So these are all what are known as the living features. Hence, it is on the transitional line between the living and non-living things. So anyhow, let us come back to the virus proper. The viruses, as I said earlier, do not come under any Whitaker classification. The virus, the term virus means venom, that is nothing but a poisonous fluid. Who coined the term virus? Louis Pasteur coined the term. Virus. He was the man who introduced what? Pasteurization of milk. He discovered an hereditary disease in the silkworm by name febrile disease. And he was the one who discovered vaccination against rabies. So this was the contribution by Louis Pasteur. He was the man who coined the term virus. The another scientist by name Ivanovsky in 1892, he observed that a tobacco was suffering from a mosaic disease. He thought it was infected by the bacteria. He collected the extract of that plant and then ultimately filtered through a bacterial filter. So he found that the causal agent even passed through that bacterial filter. So then he came to conclusion that the causal agent of this tobacco mosaic disease was smaller than that of the bacteria. Thereby he suspected that it might not be bacteria, it may be someone which is smaller than bacteria. So this was the first step towards the invention of what? Virus. Then the another scientist by name Beijerinck in 1898, what he did was he collected the extract of what? Tobacco mosaic disease. And then he used to spray that fluid on healthy plant. The healthy plant are also what? Infected by the agent what found in that fluid and suffer from the disease. Or in other words, whenever it was sprayed on a healthy plant, it become diseased one. So later on that basis, he called it as what? Contagium vivum fluidum. That means infectious living fluid. They extract what he collected from the plant suffering from the tobacco mosaic disease. Whenever he sprayed to an healthy plant, so that healthy plant also suffered from the same disease. Then he what thought? He thought that the fluid contained the causal agent. Hence, he called it as the infectious living fluid. Later on, another scientist by name Stanley, what he did? He crystallized it. As you are aware, only the non-living material or non-living things can be crystallized, not the living one. Based upon this, the feature that is, whenever Stanley crystallized that virus, so it thought it was a non-living thing. Then, remember what may be the virus structure is. The virus are non-cellular, not a typical cell. And then ultra microscope, it cannot be seen under compound microscope. It can be seen only under electron microscope because it is ultra it is having fine structure. Then it is an infectious particle. When it is said to be an infectious one, whenever it enters into the host cell. Remember, as I said earlier, virus, whenever it is outside the host cell, it is inert and inactive. Then the term virion is used. What is virion? Virion is nothing but the virus which left outside the host cell in an inert stage or in inactive state. ಅಥವಾ inactive form of the virus is called virion. Remember, virus is an obligatory parasite. What do you mean by an obligatory parasite? Remember, there are two types, obligatory and facultative. Obligatory parasite in the sense, here the association of the parasite with the host is compulsory. With no host, that parasite cannot survive. So hence, without host, the virus cannot survive. Hence, it is an obligatory parasite. And then, the another one is, the bacteria can be easily cultured in a lab and it has the rapid rate of the multiplication. Bacteria, why bacteria can be cultured in the lab? Because they have independent multiplication. They multiply independently whenever it is they cultured on a culture media. But the virus cannot multiply of its own. It needs what? Host cell. Then only it can multiply. At the cost of what? Whatever it required, all of them is obtained from the host. At the cost of the host energy and other, it multiplies. And hence, the virus cannot be cultured as like that of bacteria. If we take a viral structure or ultrastructure of a typical virus, so the Diagram what I have written here is almost universally applicable to all viruses. Now, observe here the virus consists of mainly two parts. One is said to be the head and another is said to be the tail. From ear to ear it is head and from ear to ear it is tail. Observe the head. Head is covered by what? A protein coat. This is the protein coat. And the protein coat, encloses the genetic material. This is the naked genetic material. It may be either DNA or RNA. Based upon that, we can say it may be the RNA virus or DNA virus, like that. Then, at the junction of the head with tail, there is a collar. Collar separates what and what? The head and the tail. Or in other words, at the junction of the head and tail, there is a collar. As like that of the neck between the head and the trunk of our body. Then, the tail consists of what are known as the tail plate at its end. This is the tail plate. The tail plate bears 4 spine-like structures called spikes. And in addition to that, the 3 pairs of very long, thin, thread-like structures called tail fibers. The tail fibers are helpful in attachment of the virus to the host body or to the host cell. So this is the protein coat, which can be referred as capsid. Capsid is nothing but the protein coat or protein sheet. This capsid contains several units by name the capsomeres. What do you mean by a capsomere? Capsomere is nothing but a unit of the capsid. For example, in the TMA, there are about 2000 capsomeres in a capsid. Capsid is the protein sheath around this tail. So this is the overall structure of what? The virus. Now here I have written one word, that is bacteriophage. What do you mean by a bacteriophage? Virus infecting the bacteria is called bacteriophage. So virus infecting the bacteria can be referred as bacteriophage. Now, after knowing this, let us know about viroids. Viroids are smaller than that of what? The virus. And it was discovered by Danier in the year 1971 accidentally. So he observed that the potato is an example for stem tuber. The stem tuber is almost like of this shape, club shape. But he observed the potato is almost spindle shaped like this. He wondered why the potato is spindle shaped instead of its normal shape. Then he thought it was infected by some causal agents. Later on, he collected the extract of this potato tuber and then observed that it was infected by the causal agent, and it was very smaller than that of what? The virus. And the another thing is, it had the naked RNA with no protein coat. No protein coat. But in the virus, in general virus, there is protein code around the genetic material. And this is even smaller than that of what? Virus. As it differs from the virus slightly, it has given the name viroid. What is viroid? Viroid is smaller than the virus with naked RNA without protein coat or protein sheet. Then, what do you mean by the prions? Prions are those which are with the abnormally folded protein. They are smaller of course, very smaller. They contain abnormally folded proteins and are they act as agents in transmitting the diseases, particularly neurological disease. So it was noticed that it causes a disease in cattle or in the bovine population, bovine in the sense cattle population. We observed that it causes a disease called bovine spongiform encephalopathy. Encephalopathy, this refers to the cephalic means head region, and BSE is an abbreviation for it. But the common terminology is mad disease in cattle. So that the nervous system becomes disordered. So what are prions? Prions are said to be the tiny particles which transmit the disease, and then they are having abnormally folded protein, that is prion. Then lastly, lichens. What do you mean by the lichen? Lichen is nothing but an association between the algae and fungi. Such an association can be referred as what? Symbiosis. In symbiosis, both the partners are mutually benefited, and those which involved in this symbiosis can be referred as symbionts. So in one of the previous classes I told you that phycology refers to what? The study of the algae. Mycology refers to what? The study of fungus. On that basis here, the algae can be referred as phycobiont. Phycobiont is algae. Mycobiont is what? The fungus. So the algae can synthesize the food, whereas the fungus provides what? The raw materials necessary for the food synthesis. That means both of them, they coordinate with each other in synthesizing the food. When food is synthesized, that food is shared by both of them. If you separate algae from the fungi or vice versa, both of them will die, because algae can synthesize food but cannot obtain raw material necessary for it to prepare. Whereas the fungi dies because it can get the raw material but cannot synthesize the food. Such the association can be called as obligatory mutualism. That means here the association is compulsory. And remember, the lichens also act as what? Pollution indicators. You say, for example, in an area you may find many lichens. Wherever there is moisture on the bark of the tree or on the rocks or in any other places. If at all the pollution is said to be increased, naturally the lichens disappear. That means to say, the lichens do not grow in an area where there is severe pollution. Hence, lichens can be treated as the pollution indicators. That is about the lichens. With this, the biological classification is totally completed. In the next class, I will take up the another kingdom, that is the fourth kingdom, in detail. by name plantain. Thank you, Nana.